am Mightykeef.
Oh my God, we made it to 2024. Well, in about 6 hours. 2023 for gaming was phenomenal on the consumer side. We got to purchase games that we loved. We had a plethora of options to choose from. It unfortunately was not the best for the industry with all the layoffs, E3 being canceled, the debacle of the Game Awards and them shooing off the developers. But we can only hope it gets better, right? Well, that's all we can do as consumers. But what we did consume were a plethora of amazing games this year. And I want to give you guys my top 10 of what I thought was just, and I also want to give a big shout out to you guys, seriously. We've been doing this for quite some time now, and you guys have been stuck with me. I really do appreciate it, man. I still get crazy numbers on all my videos, and that's so much support from you guys, and I really, really love it. And I'm really trying to hit 1 million next year. I know it really depends on my consistency, and I promise I'm never gonna stop making videos, but I promise I'm gonna make them more. So bear with me, guys. I really appreciate you guys being here for the journey. So first, coming in at number 10 is Street Fighter 6. The hype for me surrounding this game was so much higher than the previous iteration, and I was so happy that I got rewarded for that. Because when 5 was coming out, I was like hyped, but I was also like, I don't know, there's something about this that just seems off. I don't know. I don't know if it's the way it looked. I don't know if it's the characters. And presentation's really huge with me. One of the reasons why I can never go back to Marvel's Capcom Infinite. And Street Fighter 6 just looked like it was ready to come in here and beat somebody's ass. And it did. I mean, it did numbers. It's one of the best Street Fighters I've ever played. And I really like the inclusion of the modern controls for new people to get in. And honestly, we've seen tournaments. Some of the veterans are using it for some characters and it's working well for them. So I really think that's gonna shake up stuff. And Zangief feels so fun. For those who don't know, I'm a huge Zangief main, and I play E Honda as well. And those are kind of just been my two guys. I played Sagat a lot in 4, but like I'm mainly Zangief player, right? And he feels so good in this game, man. So I love it. I love Street Fighter 6 so much. I'd like to take some time out to thank today's sponsor, Factor. Now, we've worked with Factor before. They supply us with delicious food that we can have prepared in just 2 minutes. You too busy with the holidays to plan for any cooking? Buddy, Factor's got you. With Factor, you can skip the extra groceries, shopping, and preparing the food and just get prepackaged meal of your selection and start eating in 2 minutes. They're fresh and never frozen, so all you gotta do is heat them up and enjoy. Live your life. Skip all the stress of figuring out what you're gonna eat every day and preparing stuff for the family. You got 35 plus options of flavor-packed food right from Factor. Are you looking for something a little calorie conscious? Already working on your summer body for next year? Well, guess what? Calorie Smart meals have less than 550 calories per serving. That's gonna help you from overindulging on calories. And with Factor, you can be assured you're making a sustainable choice. They offer 100% delivery emissions, and all of the sites use 100% renewable electricity. What are you waiting for? Head to factor75.com or use the link in my description and use code Mightykeef50 to get 50% off your first Factor box today. This game actually snuck on at the last minute because I didn't play it until I had it on Xbox Game Pass, right? But I didn't really play it until like a month ago and I got absorbed in it, and it's Lies of P. I owned Dark Souls. That was my Dark Souls 3, excuse me. And that was my first ever Souls game. And I was like, this is fun. This is great, right? You fight a big boss in like the first 2 minutes of the game, get your ass kicked. And I'm like, okay, I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this type of game, right? Then I go and I get better and it feels rewarding. And I'm like, Dark Souls are games I like. Demon Souls comes out and I'm like, yeah, I love it. I'm secure in the idea that I just love Souls games now. Then Elden Ring comes out. Just one of the greatest games I've ever played. So when I think about Souls games, I have like a high standard for it now. And most Souls-like games don't really scratch that itch unless it's like from Soft, right? From Software. But Lies of P is the closest thing I can think of in terms of quality, fun, story, that would rival anything from the actual like From Software people. And it's amazing. I think the characters are fun. The combat is fun. It's really hard because like it's kind of like Sekiro where blocking kind of sucks. You gotta parry everything. And I think the parry system's actually harder in Lies of P than it is in Sekiro. But it was fun. It was so rewarding, and the story is so good. Like I was so shocked. It was really good. I enjoyed that game so much. Now this game, I'm sure y'all have already seen me gush about this game both on Twitter, on Instagram, and on this channel, right? But number 8 is Lethal Company. I don't know when it actually released on early access, but it caught a lot of steam. No pun intended, but it caught a lot of steam like about a month ago, and I started playing with my boys, and bro, this is the most fun I've had in a multiplayer game in so long, guys, so long. And it is so simple. You literally just collect loot. You go into a random warehouse and you want to collect loot to meet a quota so that you don't get flung out into space. That's it. That's the game. The problem is all the it's not the problem, but the beauty of it is all the interactions with the monsters and your teammates is what creates the fun. You go in there, your friend, you're talking to a friend, everything's fine and dandy. Then next thing you know, his head gets cut off by some type of creature you've never seen before, right? And then it's high-paced action because you might have a whole bunch of loot that you and your team needs. You're bringing it back to the ship, and now you got some crazy dogs that if you talk at all, they'll come and just eat you alive, and it's just incredibly fun. Now, what I'm about to do is a cardinal sin for me and my channel, and if you've been a long participant of this channel, you will also agree that I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Because at number 7, Dead Space Remake. Now, usually I'm very against remakes being like in contention for Game of the Years or in people's top 10s, only because it seems unfair for everything else, right? These games already had their first time to shine, and either they did or they didn't, and then now they get a second or third or maybe even fourth time for some games, in the remakes or the remasters. For them to be put on the list, it just seems unfair for the other games that actually came out for the first time this year, right? So I'm breaking my rule because Dead Space Remake was so immaculate. When you ask for remakes of a game, that is what we talk about. That's what we're talking about. Just make the game what it was, just better. You don't need to throw anything too crazy out the way. You don't have to do any alternate stuff, right? When we say remake, Dead Space Remake, that is the golden standard in my opinion. Number 6 is actually crazy this is on the list because I haven't even finished it yet. It is such a long game, and that's Tears of the Kingdom. For those who know me, y'all know that I really, really love Breath of the Wild, right? I've always said it was the best game on the Switch. I do still kind of think that. Not to take away from Tears of the Kingdom, but I just think that Tears of the Kingdom objectively is a better quality game, but Breath of the Wild was so different and so new, and it was the first time you get it, that it was like the impact was so much more. Tears of the Kingdom is just more of what we knew, like way more of what we already got, but the impact is not as strong for me as it was with the first game. But Tears of the Kingdom still blew out almost everything in this year. And now for the second cardinal sin breaking. Because at number, 5? Resident Evil 4 Remake. Standard for Dead Space Remake here, and then Resident Evil 4 golden standard right here. They're both in the same tier of just like, this is what we want as remakes. Amazing games that you made more amazing. You didn't deviate too much from it. I know I know Resident Evil 4, because I never beat Resident Evil 4 back in the day, but people have told me that there are things that they did change a little bit in Resident Evil 4, but for the most part, it's pretty a faithful adaptation. And I couldn't let it go. Like, I played almost every day until I beat it. It was so good. Oh man, I need something like that for like Silent Hill or something, or a Dino Crisis remake. If they can make a Dino Crisis remake in the same vein they made Resident Evil 4 remake, just like it's gonna hotcakes. And for number 4, I've been breaking rules like literally all day, but this one is not as big of a rule breaking because it did technically come out this year, and that is Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Now, it's weird. I don't think I've ever done an expansion as part of the Game of the Years before, but with the expansion came the 2.0 update for the base game, which completely overhauled the game. Like, it's a completely different game now, right? Like, of course you still have your quests and stuff, but the combat is completely different. The skill trees are completely different. Some of the dialogue choices are completely different. The way the game looks completely different. It's so much better now. The performance is completely different. A lot of stuff is just so different, but I'm not basing it off just the vanilla version, although I think it is hard to not do that anyway. Like, you're gonna have your biases because you kind of have to play through the vanilla version again in order to get to Phantom Liberty, unless you choose the option to start right at Phantom Liberty. But I didn't want to do that because I wanted to see what the base game was all about. So it could be influencing me. I don't know, but Phantom Liberty was amazing. Idris Elba was amazing in it. The story was great. You're like you're like 007 damn near. And it was just, it was so good. And then at number 3 is actually SpiderMan II. SpiderMan II took what 1 was and just hit it out of the park. I mean, in almost every single way, SpiderMan II is just objectively better than 1. The only thing that could be, you know, subjective is the story, I guess. You know, people, I can understand why someone would say 1 story was better than 2. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm gonna get on the stuff that you can't really compete with, right? Which is the combat, which is the traversal, which is the amount of, I guess, better quests, the scale of the game. All that is just much better and much bigger. And this game was amazing. I mean, the story was so great, of course. Venom's amazing. The casts were all great. It's just one of the greatest games that came out in recent memory. And number 2 is actually Alan Wake 2. Yes, I'm sure as you guys have seen some of my skits, I love Alan Wake 2. I love the character. I love pretending I can be Alan Wake in my skits. I thought that everything about that game was immaculate. Alan Wake 2 was one of those games where it's like, this game came out like 13 years ago. How can you make a sequel about this and it'd be good? Like, there's no way. Like, how are you gonna get new people in it? And they did it perfectly. They did it perfectly because one of the protagonists, Saga Anderson, actually has never met Alan Wake. So part of her, like, discovering the case that's happening, she also has to discover what ties Alan Wake has to all of this, right? And so it kind of gives, like, the consumer a rundown of what happened in Alan Wake 1 without having to give you like this recap video that's like, oh, here's like 5 minutes of information, of important information you need from a 20-hour game. I hope you know, can connect with it like you should. No, it was perfect. Like, the way they did this, you could be new to the game and have a great time, or you could be a returning player and having a great time, right? And just being able to solve the case, and how they presented the information, how they presented the story, the cast, the tension. Bro, everything about the game was just phenomenal. I love it so much. Honestly, I shouldn't even have to say this. We all know what number 1 is, okay? It's on everyone's number 1 list. Well, I'm not gonna say everyone, obviously. Most people's number 1 list, all right? The quality of this game beat out everything this year by a landslide. To the point where other developers, y'all have heard this already, right? Other developers are trying to warn us, the buyers, that we shouldn't get our hopes up for this game to be the standard because other people just don't have the ability to do that, which is laughable. Number 1 is Baldurs Gate 3. When I tell you this is an RPG, brother, this is an RPG. Good characters, consequences, romance, fun combat, deep combat. Like, this is like Dungeons and Dragons stuff where there's dice rolls that impact like what you're gonna do. There's like I think 600 or something abilities that you can like not customize, but like you can mix and match with your party members. And there's just so many different, like, over the course of 100+ hours, none of the fights feel the same because you have to do so many different things with different monsters. It is so incredibly addictive. And the fact that there's so many mods right now for it on Nexus Mod, where they add like characters or more abilities or just different ways to play the game. This game is like that 10-year game. You could play this game for the next 10 years and still be okay, because you have eight people you can play with. And there's so many different builds. There's like an endless number of builds. It is by far one of the greatest games I've ever played. And I can't believe, I don't understand what you could do with Baldurs Gate 4. Like, how do you get better than this? Like, I don't even think we would see a Baldurs Gate 4 for another 10 years, because this game is perfect. It's literally perfect. But yeah, those are my games of the year, man. I want you guys to let me know what you thought about it and what you guys have planned. Hey guys, look, we're gonna hit 2024 really good, okay? I'm talking about skits, right? And of course, I'm gonna build up the second channel as well. I have this plan, all right? And if I can dedicate myself to this plan, I'm gonna try to get 100,000 on my second channel and 1 million on my first channel. And I don't like putting like numbers on it, but it kind of helps motivate me if I have something tangible to look forward to, like a certain like date or a certain goal or something like that. And when I can focus on that, it then branches down to like, how can I get to that? And that would be by doing the quality content that you guys need or that you guys deserve. And that's how I reach my goal, right? So, so that's the plan. You know, I'm glad you guys enjoyed a lot of the videos that came out this year, and I can't wait to do more for y'all next year. Well, till then, hope you guys have a great New Year's. Be safe. Peace.
Or that's just crazy.